We confuse people by going into different locations.
Hi.
Richelle Ortiz, nice to meet you.
Hi, please have a chair.
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Don.
meet you. Richelle Ortiz, nice to meet you.
Welcome. So glad you came in to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Do you have a resume for us
I do.
as we move through this process?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, tell us a little bit about why you're interested in this master's degree in teaching position.
Yeah, international work is really important to me. I'm currently a student in intercultural studies at Niner College, and learning in other cultures, being able to help them learn is really something I think is highly valuable. Education, I think, is one of the founding blocks for progress, so I think it's a great opportunity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So which concentration are you interested in pursuing? The business, the education, or development?
The development I thought was a really more tailored to my personal interests. I like the community focus.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know that Kunming has about 24 different ethnic populations in the city, so I was fascinated by the development portion.
All right, this is a TESOL position in terms of teaching. Do you have any background in TESOL?
I don't with TESOL. As far as teaching, I've led groups in different, leadership events with college fairs or business teams. So I'm familiar with a teaching environment in that professional setting, but I haven't taught in a classroom.
Tell me some of your cross-cultural experience.
Yeah.
Some of the more distinct ones in developing
Okay.
your experiences.
Yeah, I was at an International Leadership Summit last year in France. I've also traveled for class purposes to Sub-Saharan Africa, so I was in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. Those are probably the top ones. The most recent would be Australia and Jordan for leadership development and mentoring. So.
Let's turn back to teaching a little bit. What do you like most about teaching?
I love being able to watch someone grow to understand something, especially when they can come to that reasoning on their own with just some guidance from me. So it's not necessarily me making them see something my way, but learning how that they can see it their own way and discovering it. I think it's really cool.
What would you say your strength is as a teacher?
I'm very patient. I'm also a little bit analytical, and so sometimes when they're struggling with a concept, if I can't guess where they're struggling, I can say certain questions to get it out of them, like, okay, well, what angle are you not understanding? So kind of like the technical side of learning that can hinder some people. I think I can relate to that really well.
With your education, your BA in Intercultural Studies, how did that prepare you for moving forward into a future like this with this position? And if you could give an example of something that you learned and how you learned it.
Yeah, it's really prepared me to see myself in other cultures in a way that I hadn't previously. So one of the biggest things I've learned from my education was the presuppositions that I come into a culture with, naturally just from how I was raised or my environment. And so learning to be in a situation that's unfamiliar to me or seems familiar but it's actually not, and just remembering, like, you don't always have the answers, and that's okay. You can learn in a new culture as well. So it's kind of a way of saying, okay, I'm a sponge in this environment. I'm here to learn just as I teach you how to learn, because it's not necessarily my territory.
And then this work/education opportunity fits into long-term goals that you have in what way?
I just think the idea of teaching internationally is a really great career move for both parties. I think that relationship it makes it more than like a one-time job. I think it's a career that you can invest in their relationship with you and like who they are as a person. So long term, it's kind of like a developmental approach in my opinion. Like teachers are someone they'll remember for the rest of their lives. So even if I don't stay in that classroom with these certain students, like that kind of career that is lasting more than the classroom, I think is a great move to do. So
one of the things about this is that you'll be somewhat isolated in China, surrounded by another culture. Have you lived on your own before?
Before I came to Nyack, New York, where I currently live, I lived in St. Paul, Minnesota. We actually have a little bit of refugee population, so I've lived in complexes where I've been a minority myself, and I lived there for about 2 years, so I'm familiar with that.
Okay. As we get close to the end of our time together, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I'm currently married, and so I'm curious what this position would look like as a married woman. Is there flexibility with housing, and how would that work for a married person to be in the field?
Yeah, I don't know. Housing is not a problem. I don't know how the visa situation works for that.
Yeah, that would be, we'd have to defer that question because the school where you teach at would supply the visa. So would they be willing to supply 2 visas?
Okay.
Or is there also something for your husband to do besides you? So an office other than the recruiting office would need to answer those questions, and we could get back to you, give you some contact information.
Great, that would be awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. And my other question was to, I know that the teaching is the emphasis, but are there any structured activities available to the applicants coming into the city to help integrate them into the culture more outside of the classroom, or is it limited just to the job on the field?
Most of that's done before you go and when you meet in California.
Okay.
All our orientation is done there. So once you get there, it's kind of up to your employer. They usually have a group of people coming in to teach, and so it's up to them how they handle those kinds of arrangements. So it varies greatly from one employer to the other.
But there will be assignments that are lagging from the summer concentration of classes.
Okay.
And so there will be things that you'll have to do for your classes, different kinds of research or activities.
Great.
So those will get you out into the community.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you for joining us today and getting to know you.
Yes, thank
We'll
you.
be
I
back.
appreciate your
We'll
time.
get back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.